Good morning, peoples. Hey. Well, it's another beautiful day in the world. Another beautiful morning. Truth is, it's actually raining outside, pouring rain. I'm getting up and getting ready to go to the beach for the weekend for my birthday party and my older sons. I thought, when I was thinking about going to the beach, I guess that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Like friends and expectations. I'm sure all of you have friends, but I'm sure there's one or two of you that don't have any friends. And I know there's a lot of people out there who probably have friends but just don't realize that they have friends, or they take it for granted. We tried to plan ahead of time and invite my friends and let everybody know that we were going to be going to the beach this weekend for the birthday party thing. And I don't expect my friends to go. That's the thing. But on one hand I do, and on another hand I don't. You know what I mean? In the sense that I've had, some of these friends for, over half my life, and turning 40, I figure is a good time to have a good excuse for a celebration. But I would never hold it against one of my friends or be upset with them for not making it. One of my friends lives in Seattle. It's a little too far for him. My brother has to drive twice as far because he lives out east, so he has to go through Portland and then all the way to the coast. But he's going. My other buddy, he's got a bad back. My buddy Traveler, who people might have seen me with in videos, he has a bad back like I did. His has gotten worse while mine has gotten better. So unfortunately, I know exactly where he's coming from, because a few years ago we went to the beach, him and I, mushroom picking, about the same time of year, which, by the way, the beach I'm going to is by Astoria, so those who know mushrooms know that the azurescens grow there. It's pretty much the only area on the planet that they grow. So I'm pretty excited to go pick some while I'm there too. And I wanted him to go with me since we picked last time. But, I don't think he's going to make it, and I don't want him to feel bad, because his back hurts too bad to drive. I don't blame him. And I was the same way the last time him and I went, a couple of years back, mushroom picking. I remember sitting in his truck just like pushing on the seat and writhing and like turning sideways and trying everything I could to get rid of that pain. It's a fucking sciatic pain. Excuse my language. It's just the worst pain I've ever had. And looking back, I hate to say that I'm glad that it happened to me, because but I am. At that time I was a carpenter. I probably would still be a carpenter, and you can make good money as a carpenter. At one time I made 40 to 50 bucks an hour, and didn't even have to work that hard. Doing little finish work and detail stuff is what I got good at. And pretty soon my back started hurting so bad I couldn't do anything anymore, and I said, well, I need to step out and do something different, and so I did. So anyway, I don't look back on it with any negativity. But anyway, I don't want to get into the back pain thing. It's just that I understand where he's coming from, because he's in pain. And all these this birthday thing is just kind of my way of explaining a little, naming off kind of my friends and their situations, because I've got some friends that I don't see very often, maybe once every few years. I got the friend that has his back messed up, then a friend that lives far away, and then I have another friend who just found a girlfriend, and they just got together, and he hasn't been with a girl in years, decade at least, and he's kind of that bachelor type guy, and he's really happy, and his life's totally changed, and he's totally changed, excuse me, early, and he wants to, I know he wants to make it out, and I don't want him to feel guilty about not making it out, so I just kind of teased him a little bit about it, but said all of this that I'm saying here is kind of my way of making a point that I understand that the friends I have, the loved ones I have, the people in my life have lives too. We seem to think that people are just going to, jump when we say jump. And I know a lot of people who, for example, I'm just going about my day, I've got a bunch of hectic things going on, and then a particular friend, let's say, will text me and say, hey, I'm in town, I want to hook up. I was going to stop by your house. And I text back and say, no, not right now, not today, it's just not a good day, I've got a lot going on and I didn't expect it. And then feel like the person's feeling like, well, he's not going to let me come by, what? Or he doesn't want to hang out. This isn't a specific situation that really happens, but in the past I've had friends who like to show up last minute, and sometimes that's great, and sometimes it's not. It's kind of like when my neighbor knocks on the door. He's a really nice guy, and we always end up talking for a long time about life and stuff. He likes my herbs, so he comes by and I hook him up. And he's really poor, so I pretty much just give him free pot all the time. And I think he's in his 50s, mid-50s. One of those guys that when he starts to tell you a story, he'll end up going off on another story. I guess kind of something like myself, but I try to stick to the subject. When he comes over and knocks on the door, and this isn't just him, I'm just using him as an example. I'll be like, oh shit, he's here, Roger's here. Or if a friend comes by and I'll look out and I see their car pull up, I'm like, oh no, so-and-so's here. Sometimes I'll be like, oh cool, so-and-so's here, but there's always this thing inside me that says, I have to stop what I'm doing to entertain and to, to hang out. Within 5 minutes, that feeling passes. And I've been really analyzing it. That's why I brought it up, is it seems to be there's a phase that we go through when we first meet up with somebody. It's an uncomfortable metamorphosis into conversation. So you run into a friend you haven't seen in a while, and it's just kind of awkward, and you both kind of say things, bounce things off each other, and the next thing you know, you're just totally conversing because you're flowing. You're trying to sync your minds. So when you first see a friend you haven't seen in a while, it takes a while to sync your minds back up. So let me use that as an example. If you have a friend that you haven't seen in a really long time and you meet up with them, it might be easy to hang out for an hour and then leave and say, oh well, we've grown apart, we're different people. Because you're talking about your external lives, but by the time that's gone, you can get together and talk about just life. I'm really excited to go to the beach this weekend. We have a house. I guess it's a really big house, and there's like sleeps 11, and it has an elevator in it. I'm not sure how that works. I didn't realize it. I just think it's only like 2 stories, but it's like 30-second walk to the beach. And it just so happens that this weekend, so we checked out the weather report yesterday, there's a severe storm warning for the coast. It's supposed to get crazy windy and stormy. We're supposed to get up to 10 inches of rain, at least from what I've heard. That's a lot. I don't know if that's true. But I did see the storm warning on the pages, and say there could be severe flooding and landslides, and heavy surf advisory. Anybody who lives on the west coast of the U.S. knows that's just what you expect. Well, I can't speak for California, but even in the winter, California gets nasty. But anybody who lives in the Oregon or Washington coast, it's just as brutal as Alaska or Canada. You don't go swimming, and if you go surfing, you've got balls. People try. But you expect cold, so I'm not going to let things like that get me down, because what's important to me is just getting together with family and friends. I mean, how often do you really get together with all your friends? Now, I'm speaking, I guess, to myself here, because anybody who's watching this video either could be, you could be in your, say, 60s and really not have many friends anymore, maybe one person that you hang out with, but you could be in your, in your teens or 20s and have, a dozen people you hang out with all the time. And I've been, I understand both of those points. So now I'm at the middle of my life, and I have left behind a lot of my old friends, but kept the people close to me that mean a lot, that I love. And I don't always keep in contact with them as much as I should, but they're always there, and I'd do anything for them if they needed my help. And that's kind of how I define a friend. When you're really suffering, who do you call? I had somebody ask me a while back, or I was talking about best friends, and I said, I think so-and-so is my best friend, or it was on a video, or I said, who's your best friend, as a question, and somebody said, Well, my wife is my best friend. And I thought, I kind of felt like a dick because I hadn't even considered that. I was like, I'm out here looking to figure out who my best friend and my friends are, and I didn't even think of my wife. And in a lot of cases, that would be warranted because a lot of wives and husbands aren't best friends. They're there for convenience. But my wife is so much an integral part of who I am. She is literally my other half. And I didn't consider it because she's not a friend. She's part of me. And I'm part of her. It's a completely different, bond. Having friends is just so important. I feel really sorry for people who don't. What? My mom sent me a message asking me if I would turn off her coffee maker. She realized that today is Friday the 13th. Be extra careful. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Thanks, Ma. My mom's been living with me for about 6 months now, maybe longer, because she couldn't afford to get a place of her own, and she's a caregiver but couldn't do her job because she's been in pain. She's going through the same pain that I went through, just different. I mean, she had her hip replaced, and I helped her for a while there, but she never quite got her pain to go away. And I've had that sciatic pain, so I know what it's like to not be able to get up, or to get up 10 times a night to try to go to the bathroom or stretch. And anyway, living with your mother is one thing. I mean, it's difficult. Being married with a wife and 2 kids and then having your mother come back to live with you is tricky. On top of that, my oldest son, who's 21 now, almost 2 days, or tomorrow maybe, he just came back to live with us a couple weeks ago because his girlfriend basically dumped him. He found out she was cheating on him. Just horrible things that people do to each other that they hide from each other. The kind of stuff that, when people see somebody in a happy relationship, they're almost jealous a lot of the time. They always try to find something, some flaw or some fault in it. People just can't seem to understand that a couple can really be a team, a husband and wife team, helping to prop each other up. And this is what friends should be. They should be people who prop each other up and who want to see their friends do good. I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but this is something that after researching I found universal because I felt guilty about it. But I found out this is very common. If you see a friend post something online or they text you or call you or you just hear about it, that they've done some great thing or started some, let's say, big business, and they're doing phenomenal, really, really good. A lot of times it's easy to just kind of go, to be jealous. And you're not jealous, like, that's not your first thought, like, oh, I'm jealous of this person. It's more of if somebody's ever told you about something positive in their life, and you manage to find some hole to poke at in it, like, oh yeah, well, I don't know how long that market's going to last, or something like that. It's something we have to stop ourselves from doing. I mean, I know people who do go wholeheartedly in and they just love and they're great. They feel awesome for everyone. They're like, oh, that's great, that's great, that's great. But there are a lot of jealousies within us because usually it's not that we're jealous of the other person. It's that we're saying, damn it, I want to push myself that hard. Or I want to do something like that too. So rather than looking at it like a competition, it's not really like that. It's more of, well, now I've got to try that too. So when a husband and wife are a team, it's the same kind of thing. But if you see your husband trying really hard, like for example, my wife and I quitting smoking, she wants to quit smoking so bad, and so did I. I quit for a long time, but used her smoking as an excuse for me to start smoking again. So then I was having like 5 a day because they were there, and I used the excuse of, well, they're at my house, I just have to, I see them. Now my mom's here and she smokes too, and I've still managed to quit. I've still managed to vape. In fact, I programmed myself. I took some LSD at a fish show, and I was smelling all the cigarettes around me, and I said, I'm going to use this time to tell myself how nasty it is, and I haven't had a cigarette since then. I can't even touch one. I went and treated myself to a new device. It's a very nice little vape pen. Anyway, I know I do ramble on, and I don't, tend to get away from the subject a lot when I'm talking. I apologize. It's just because there's so many freaking things to talk about in life. I guess friends came up because I'm going to the coast for the weekend, and I have very few real friends. I have maybe 5 or 6 people that are friends, but out of those, maybe I guess those are my friends. I have about 5 good friends, including my wife, and people I don't see very often, but I'm grateful to have any friends. My buddy that you may have seen in my videos, Traveler, I guess he's a perfect example. He did some wrong shit to me when we were kids. He stole some shit from me. I hate to talk shit about people because I'm not talking shit. I need to make the point though. He broke into my mom's house, stole some stuff from her, and then he stole a bunch of shit from me and my other friends, and then he split town. We didn't see him for years. I wanted to beat this guy into the ground. I even went looking for him. I had no idea where to find him. Decade later, he finds me on Facebook and apologizes. This was about 6 years ago or so. He apologizes on Facebook, and I kind of tore into him a little, but I said, I accept your apology and I appreciate you being man enough to come forward. We got together for a beer one time. Now we work as almost partners, like in crime. He's got not crime. He's got his whole thing going on with his. He makes extracts and whatnot, and we talk about cannabis constantly. But on top of that, we have very similar spiritual interests. We're both looking to understand the Godhead, to use our intuition to understand the archetypes. We're both storytellers. We've had long conversations about the stories of life and how important they are to our history. And I guess my bonding with him, I've bonded so much over the last 5 years that I feel tighter and closer to him than really any of my other friends right now. So it's not about being a best friend. It's about just being a good friend. And my point for bringing that up is that I've never been able to label a best friend. I just have friends. And they come and go and have strengths and weaknesses. And we spend some time together and then apart. And just to be able to sit back and laugh, like my buddy Mike, who lives in Seattle now, he got married and then got divorced. I didn't see him for a long time. We didn't keep in contact because I know he was doing his life. But I understood that, and I knew that he'd come back one day and we'd converse again. Not come back, but that he'd get a hold of me. And we did. We were just texting earlier, and we talked the other day. He stopped by. A really good guy that was my first friend, my first real friend when I moved to Lake Oswego when I was like 12. I met him on the school bus, and we were coming home from school the first day on the back, and we were talking, and he said, "Hey, do you ride bikes?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You want to ride bikes?" I said, "Sure." So he got off the bus, and then I went home and got my bike and rode down to his house, and the rest is history. Pretty soon we're eating acid and going down to the train bridge, but I think friends are just a super important thing. And for those out there who don't have any friends, I just don't know what to say, because I know it's miserable, because I know people who don't have friends, and they either say, "Oh, I don't need friends," and lie to themselves, or they just wish they had friends but don't know how to make friends. And like at my mom's age, she's 65 now, she's having a hard time meeting people. Even though I tell her I know it's easier said than done, Craigslist is loaded up with people who want to meet people and just hang out. But there's always that, "Oh yeah, but there's freaks on there, and everybody's too expecting, and people all want this and that." And kind of like with the sex video yesterday that I made. That's one of the things that she mentioned. She was looking on a dating website, and all the guys just want somebody who's totally into sex and fit and trim and all this. I'm like, we're talking about 65-year-old people. What the hell? Well, you got these fat-ass slob guys sitting around drinking beer who want a prim, fit woman that is in her 60s that still likes to go hiking and still loves to have sex. And that's kind of, it was the perfect example yesterday talking with my mom about the video I'd made about sex, and how she was saying that sometimes, some old people want to, some don't, but yeah, the society's programming tells them to. They think that they have to do that to make friends or to be a certain way, to find a loved one, and it's just not that way. Be yourself. Find yourself. Find a loved one through yourself. Find a loved one through being yourself. It's let's put it this way. If you get a job and you sign the application saying that you have experience that you don't have, which a lot of people have, I've done it. I've lied about felonies and all that stuff on apps. You might be able to get away with that. If you sign up to be a rocket physicist, and you lie on your application, that's fine, you might get the job. But you're just going to fail miserably at it because you don't know what you're doing. And eventually you'll be discovered, and it'll make it worse than it would have been if you just admitted in the first place you don't know shit. Well, relationships are the exact same way. When you get together with a male or a female, someone that you love, someone that you have lust for, let's say, don't build that on a fake-ass personality. Don't pretend like you're tougher than you are. Don't pretend like you have more money than you do, or that your values are different than they are, because you will get caught lying. No relationship can endure if it's based on false principles. And this is for couples and for just friends. Male and male friends, female and female friends, male and female friends. We all kind of try to impress each other with who we are. And the best way to impress is just to be yourself. For me, it's worked. I guess if you're the kind of person who doesn't like yourself, ask yourself why. If there's nothing that you've done that's bad, then you're a good person. If you're not harming people, and usually the reasons why people don't like themselves is either A, they feel like other people don't like them, or B, they know that they're harming themselves. We tend to not like ourselves when we're abusing our bodies or harming ourselves, but you have to get past that and be strong, because that's the only way that we can show others that they can be strong too. And real friends will always prop each other up and never tear each other down. Here's my video on friends.